Hello and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Alliance. Of course, I am your host Clay, and with me, like every single week, I am so glad I get to say that now because you traumatized me for 3 months, 2 months. It felt like three
2 months.
that you were not here. But thank you, Katie, of course, for
I'm
being here. Katie, how you
sorry I
been?
had a baby. Okay.
But how you been?
I'm doing pretty good. Yesterday was chaotic. Um, I wanted to quit my job, not because of my job or anything, but just because of how chaotic yesterday was. Yeah, then today was a breeze. It was like it ebbs and
I
it
have totally
flows.
been there. I have been there. I have been there. Uh, my week has gone pretty good. Um, I got a new job. Now I haven't started said job yet. Um, I will be starting the last week of this month. Is going to be my first official week at this new job. Looking forward to it a whole lot. Um, I'm going to be working for a comics distribution company, which is very, very fun. I finally get to say that I'm in the industry of comics officially. Um, and right before I started recording, Abby shared that now she has a new job and she will be starting.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has a job next week. So, yeah, things are looking up. It is getting better. Yeah, really glad to be here. We have, and I will say this, Katie, I sped read the absolute F out of this volume one because I read a majority of it last week. And then this morning I was like, did I finish that? I don't know if I finished that. Let me look to see how much I need to read. And I still needed to read like 75 pages of the volume, 75 pages per the digital format of it. Now, a lot of that in the back was the art and stuff.
Yeah.
So, thankfully, it was not a full 75 pages. But I was like, holy crap. And I still had to work at the same time. Thankfully, there was like nothing to do at work today. So I was like, oh, I get to read all day and get paid for it. Cool.
Don't get fired already, Clay.
Nah. Uh, to be completely honest, my bosses couldn't care less about what we do at that job. It is absolutely hilarious. But anyway, we have
I had read this volume probably a month ago. Um
okay.
when I remembered I had Marvel Unlimited. Um and so I knew the content already because I read it pretty in depth. But then today between 5:45 and 6:05, I read all four issues again.
Nice. Very, very nice. Yeah, and that was the thing with this is it was actually a little shorter than I expected it to be because it is the first four
Yep.
issues and a small short story at the very end from Revelations, comparatively to what a normal volume one is, which is
Yeah.
usually the first 5 or 6 issues of a series. So that was nice
It's
to have a
called
little bit of a
shrinkflation.
shrinkflation. Is that what it's called?
Literally, I think every single volume since probably end of last year has been four issues.
Wow.
Yeah.
That could be kind of nice though. Like genuinely. Just with the format that it's in, I think that is a nice like because in the sense of like one thing that me and Joe constantly talk about with Power Rangers, especially how it ended, was because of the way that it releases, we're like, oh man, I have to
Mhm.
go read the last 4 issues because I have no idea. I can't remember what the heck happened. But in the trade, having 4 issues, even if you were to stop midway through and pick it back up, I feel like there's enough there or lack thereof to be like, okay, I only need to remember this and this because it's
Yeah.
not that big of a volume to read. So I think I like that. I really do like that. But we have, of course, the volume one that we're going to be talking about. This is the 2023 volume one of the High Republic that we will be reviewing today as our main topic. But we do have some news for you guys. Of course, there is much words about Sean Levy and his Deadpool and Wolverine, but he shared some words for us and a little bit of an update or a quote, if you will, about his upcoming Star Wars film, which I really enjoyed the perspective that he has
Yeah.
on how he's going about that. So that's really, really fun. We have, of course, the Star Wars Outlaws roadmap for the season pass, and or is are they calling it a season pass or are they calling it, I don't know what the heck, DLC roadmap, whatever they want to call it these days. Um, and we are also going to be looking at some dates and covers for publication in books. So looks like there's a full plate for us to talk about. What do you want to talk about first, Katie?
Let's go ahead and knock Sean Levy's quote out of the way. So he said in a couple of different interviews, I think. Um, so this first quote fused. Sorry, I had the volume in my headphones, so I was like, gotta talk louder than it, even though y'all can't hear that. Um, that there's only so many times that Star Wars movies can revisit the same section of the timeline because I don't want to do a Star Wars film that is redundant to others, nor am I interested in doing one that has to serve another movie. I really wanted to craft something that felt organic to me, both in tone and the characters. Um, and then, this was in the same interview. Um, when asked if he was writing the movie with any actors in mind, he said, "Wow, you're asking the right questions." Sort of, yes. Please don't ask a follow-up.
I I think that's hilarious because, of course,
Mhm.
there's not much he can talk about after that. Um,
Yeah.
but again, like I said, I like the way that he's approaching this new film because the very first words in that quote, there's only so many times that a Star Wars movie can be revisited in the same section of the timeline. This is what we have been talking about over and over and over again. And I think it's what a lot of fans are like. I think for us, looking at the comics from the era of A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi and all of that, uh, and still getting stuff like in the Rebels era when we did, and getting stuff from the Clone Wars era when we did, like, it's fun to get those small little tidbits of story. But again, there's going to be a point where they're going to drill down for that oil and there's not going to be anything there. It's going to be very, very dry. And I think Sean taking this perspective of, he sees it for what it is. Okay, we've had 9 movies here. We've had a few shows here, a few shows there. Where is unmarked territory? Where
Yeah.
can I reach out and do kind of my own thing? I uh I love the way he says, I'm not, nor am I interested in doing something that serves another film. So although depending on how you feel about the MCU and technically his Deadpool and Wolverine, no spoilers, hasn't hit the 2-week mark yet, but a lot of people say, okay, it's a Marvel movie. They always serve one another. After his movie is already about to hit $1 billion this weekend,
By the way, Katie called
this
it.
this man should not be touched with his Star Wars film. I'm like, it should.
Don't touch it. It's not worth it.
It
Do the
really
damn
isn't.
thing. Let Ryan Reynolds be in the freaking Star Wars movie.
I love Ryan's quote from today with Jon Favreau because
Yes.
I think he's spilling something. I personally think it's not Sean's quote, but I do want to go back and talk about it real quick. So I believe it was you that shared the quote from Ryan. Yeah. So Reynolds did this very heartfelt, very long post about Jon Favreau and about like he wasn't just, you know, somebody that he spoke to and whatnot, but he was an ideas man and building a universe and like all of these things because we know Jon Favreau. He's the, an individual that created The Mandalorian, right?
Yep.
So at the end of the post, he says, I drop everything to show up for this guy anytime, anywhere. Thank you, John. And I was like, oh, really? Anytime, anywhere. Maybe season 4 of The Mandalorian? Or were they talking when talking about the ideas man and universe building, were they, maybe John and Sean got together and was like, hey, how do I get the Star Wars movie going, I think something's cooking. And it's gonna be awesome.
So, we're going to talk about this at the end of the news section, really, but since we're on the topic, we might as well go ahead and say it. Do you think we're going to get a topic for Sean Levy's Star Wars movie, the D23 this weekend?
No. I say no because I'm going to give you a Chris Balga answer. D23 is TV shows. It's not a lot of movies. Like it's every once in a while you'll hear like a random thing about a movie, but I think right now because Sean Levy is still very early in development of the movie, and because it is a movie, not a TV show, I think D23 is not the place for it.
But wouldn't you want to capitalize on the success of Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yes.
Because clearly he knows his concept.
That's true, because his quote did say, let me actually go back to it. At the very end there was, I really wanted to craft something that felt organic to me in both tone and characters. So I think he has already probably found the track of like, hey, this is where I want to go. How do I do that? Is probably where he's already at. And then, of course, getting all these meetings with Star Wars people, that's probably where it's going to go next. I don't know, Katie. That's it's a smart thing. It was smart to already give him the film, right? From what we know, there is still the 2 dates for the Star Wars films in 2026. I don't think that's Sean's. I don't think you can do Sean's
right now.
All.
I think those 2 films are Mandalorian and Grogu, and then the the Miss Marvel director for the Rey movie.
Yes,
I think those are those 2 movies.
Which, by the way, I think we all agree, because I don't know if it was necessarily a topic when we did talk about it. But Mandalorian and Grogu should move dates now that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
But with the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, I do agree that you capitalize it.
Especially with the fact that it may hit $1 billion this weekend.
I was going to say, if you make the announcement almost immediately after the $1 billion mark this weekend, it's like serving it on a platter. Like, here you go. Like, it's right here. Um, but what do you? Okay, so if they do, let's give you a scenario now. If they do,
Okay.
what can they announce?
I think you say where you're going in the timeline. So you say which era you're hitting. And if you've got Ryan Reynolds, if Sean's like, I'm not doing this without Ryan Reynolds, then you bring Ryan Reynolds on out for the platform and you say, and this is my star.
Now, but okay, so here's a genuine question.
Okay.
Because I don't agree with Snell 100%. But I think there might be a little bit of pushback if Ryan was in the movie. Because, and I know it's silly and I know it's stupid. But people look at that. I can't even say that. I can't even finish my freaking sentence because it's so stupid and how bipolar.
You're gonna say he's Deadpool in a Star Wars movie?
No. So my thing is, there's so many diverse personalities and people of like how people think a Star Wars movie or TV show should feel tonally.
Mm-hmm.
You look at The Acolyte compared to that of
Andor. Rogue
Andor.
One.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, those have kind of the same tones, but very different. But then you look at, let's go into some of the animated stuff, because we talked about it. Even though people think animation is for kids, it's not always for kids. It can have serious tones, but people take the idea of, oh, it's for kids, it's supposed to be silly. Star Wars isn't supposed to be silly. But then they forget about Jar Jar Binks and R2D2 and C3PO, and they forget about the funny parts of Star Wars.
I'm going to agree with you, but I'm also going to raise you and say that Ryan Reynolds is highly respected by the mega nerd boys because of his respect for the character of Deadpool. I think that brings a little goodwill over.
It does. I think it does. But I think that what you said prior is the number one thing that we're going to be seeing on the internet. Oh God, Deadpool is joining the Star Wars universe. That's what we're going to see. And we're going to see all the memes of Deadpool wearing a Jedi robe with a lightsaber. And it's going to be annoying to me. It's personally going to be annoying to me.
I'm not saying it's not going to be annoying, but that's good pub.
What I said, what was it? A couple weeks ago, I said that I want more genres within Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think it would be okay to have a comedy in Star Wars.
100%.
Like, you look at one of my favorite movies in the last 5 years is oh shoot, I forgot the freaking title of the movie. Brad Pitt. Ryan Reynolds was in the movie. The train movie.
Bullet Train.
Was it Bullet Train? Is that what it's called? With Brad Pitt? It's not called Bullet Train. It's called something Train. It's called, oh, it was Bullet Train. Yeah. Okay, so Bullet Train. You look at Bullet Train. That has hilarity all over it. But like, the topic is somewhat serious. There's like badass moments in it. But it is, in some weird way, a comedy.
Yeah.
So you make a Star Wars movie like Bullet Train, I'm all for it. 100%.
I don't disagree, but would you put Ryan Reynolds in an assassin's role with the Deadpool and just go with that? Like,
Not necessarily. And I say more so like because a lot of people have said that Ryan Reynolds hasn't played an actual character in a movie since The Proposal. And I think that's almost accurate. You could give him a scoundrel-esque role in the Star Wars universe. Not necessarily assassin. I would say down on his luck, you know, somebody who, like, I could very much see him in like a Han Lando, you know, Hondo. You make him like Hondo, that is perfect for Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
We don't have a live action Hondo.
Don't make him Hondo though. I don't want him. I don't want him as Hondo. No. If we ever get a live action Hondo, I still want Jim to be the voice of Hondo, but somebody else be the body actor. Like that's how iconic Jim's voice is for Hondo.
On that note, so do you want to talk about the season pass for
Yes, so let me
Outlaws?
actually bring that up. I believe did we place that in the
Yes.
okay, so the season pass roadmap for Star Wars Outlaws has been revealed, and it confirms the appearance from Lando Calrissian and Hondo. Is another reason why I brought it up. So there is going to be 2 story packs. So the entire roadmap has launch day fall 2024 as well as spring of 2025. So the story pack number 1 is coming fall of 2024. It is called the Wild Card. Kay is hired to infiltrate a high-stakes sabacc tournament, but as she crosses paths with the notorious gambler Lando Calrissian, she soon learns that another game is being played. And I just wanted to reiterate launch day stuff that does come out for a season pass. We've already talked about. It's the exclusive Jabba mission as well as the character pack for the Han Solo outfit.
Yes.
Story pack number 2, which is coming in 2025 spring. The Trailblazer's reputation precedes Kay as she runs into a veteran pirate, Hondo, who is looking to settle old scores with a ruthless gang of pirates. So I like this. It kind of stays in the same realm of what we know about Kay. Kind of just like the gangs, the smugglers, the pirates getting into trouble type of thing. Legacy characters. Lando Calrissian. I think it's very fun to see him in things like this because it's out in the fall. There is no actual confirmation date for that fall 2024 story pack. I hope it's later fall of 2024 because I really want players to get a good feel about Kay. I want them to be able to play and be like, okay, I'm really enjoying this character, because I don't want them to release the game and then like 3 weeks later, hey, here's the first story pack. Lando Calrissian crashes the party and everybody's just, you know, oh my gosh, it's Lando, it's Lando, it's Lando. Like, give your new character time to breathe a little bit. I think that would be the smartest thing to do.
And for those who are curious about the season pass price, it is only available for pre-order with the Gold or Ultimate Edition or with Ubisoft Plus Premium. The Gold Edition of the game is $110. and the Ultimate Edition is $130. The Ultimate Edition also provides some extra digital features.
Content. Yeah.
The game itself on its own is $70. What are you thinking
It's going
about
to be
these prices?
$69.99 is the newer price for new gen consoles. That, of course, is the Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS5 type of gaming consoles. I have a small problem with it because the reason why a normal price back in the day was $59.99 was due to the fact that these were physical copies of a game that were being shipped everywhere in the world. That is no longer the case. For companies to be having a price point of $69.99 on a digital copy of a game is absolutely stupid.
It's so stupid. You don't own the game if it's a digital copy.
Exactly. And the really stupid thing when it comes to both Xbox and PlayStation, when you turn on your Xbox for the very first time, and I'm pretty sure the licensing agreement has changed recently, and so you'll have to like press the button that says that I agree. It says at the very bottom of that agreement that you do not own any games that you purchase from the PlayStation or Xbox store.
Yep.
This is a problem. There was a time when they first started doing digital games where they were cheaper. And then some genius was like, hey, we could just sell it for the same price. Nobody's going to stop us. And I think it's a very, very stupid thing. These massive companies do not share that profit with the developers whatsoever. They give that money to the company. That is it. The creators of this game, the artists, all of that, they only see a small portion of what they worked on via when they clocked in and when they clocked out. There is no residuals on these things, people. It's a big problem in the industry. And they would still make millions upon millions of dollars if they sold it at a lower price point. You look at games recently, although it is now considered a dead game, Helldivers 2 came out for $40 like 3 months ago. And it just blew up all over the world. Now, of course, PlayStation screwed up with some really stupid, hey, you have to sign into a PlayStation, account for that type of thing. And it caused a whole big drama. But selling a very good game at $40, they made so much freaking money. You can do the exact same thing with any AAA game, selling your season pass or battle pass or whatever for a solid $15. You're making bank. But these people are so goddamn greedy that they're like, oh, the only way we can make significant amounts of money is if we sell everything at $100 plus. That's so dumb. It's already a giant IP that brings in billions of dollars for you. Why sell it at such a high rate?
Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but people are going to buy it still. So
yeah, I am with Outlaws, I am buying the base game. And I would recommend this to everybody. Buy the base game. Then you wait. There will be a summer sale, a Christmas sale, a New Year's sale, a spring sale on the season pass. And then eventually that just gets reduced in price over time. Yeah, you might have a little bit of quote unquote FOMO from playing it right now. But just get the main game. Enjoy the game now. I've actually started to see a little bit of gameplay on TikTok from the people who were able to get the game early that we talked about last week. It looks fun. And that is just people playing the demo or, how many hours they got to play. I think it was like a total of 24 to 48 hours. Like, just go buy the game. at the cheapest price point as you can. For people who have PC, wait until Newegg has like a discount code for new games. They usually do, and it drops to like $49.99 or $59.99 older game prices. This is what I recommend, so that way we're not breaking the bank for games. Because I just saw a TikTok about this recently, is that there's so many of these developers and companies that are laying off hundreds, if not thousands, of people for their company because they can't, quote unquote, keep up to date with games like Fortnite that are a massive multiplayer game that are constantly bringing out content. I don't need that type of game. I need
Yep.
one singular story, a small game that looks beautiful, that has an amazing story, that was created with the utmost respect of whatever IP that it is, and I guarantee it'll make money.
Yep.
Simple as that.
All right. So the next topic that we have, it kind of goes, well, no, not really. So we have some guest announcements for Star Wars Celebration Japan, which is taking place April 18th through the 20th, 2025 in Japan. And now the only reason I wanted to bring this up, we've got Daniel Logan, who is young Boba Fett. We have Manny Jacinto, Chimere, and the Stranger, obviously. And then we have Alan Tudyk as K2SO. So do you think we're getting confirmation K2SO is going to be in Andor Season 2 with this appearance?
I think that it is a possibility. We know that via Rebels, they are working together from the very beginning. So they have to then...
Rogue One, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. In Rogue One, sorry. We know that in the beginning of Rogue One, they are working together. They're partners. So seeing this, I get a little excited. I am kind of back and forth on Alan Tudyk. It's really weird. Sometimes I like his performances in movies. Sometimes I don't. I didn't actually realize until the other day how many voices he's played for Disney. Like, even some of the characters that I didn't even know were him. I was like, holy crap. So yeah. I like K2SO, so I'm okay with seeing him in Andor Season 2. I think it'll bring a little bit of flavor, something we didn't get. Well, like I was saying, the little bit of humor that Star Wars always kind of drizzles in. Yeah. Andor Season 1 was very heavy. Very heavy. The humor was very light. There was just kind of like tongue-in-cheek type of humor in Season 1. With Alan Tudyk coming in possibly as K2SO, I think that we could be seeing a little bit more of like, hey, we can be lighthearted, but it is still a serious moment.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So the next thing we have on our docket, we got some sneak peeks at wave 12 of the Essential Legends collection. Clay, can you believe we've had 12 waves, or we will have had 12 waves as of February 4th, 2025?
It's insane how quickly these guys are just pushing these out.
Yep. One of the novels involved is The Force Unleashed 2 by Sean Williams. And this is pretty badass artwork, I have to say.
Yeah, so my question is, where was The Force Unleashed 1? I don't remember The Force Unleashed being a part of whatever wave. Unless The Force Unleashed was never an official release on Legends, and only The Force Unleashed 2?
No, The Force Unleashed did get made into a book.
Okay.
A book. Oh my gosh. So yeah, so The Force Unleashed was released January 1st, 2009. Did they really? I thought I saw that they had an Essential Legends. Did they? Yeah, Wave 11. Here we go.
Oh, so literally the wave right before this one.
Yeah, so November 5th is the release date for this one. Let me drag it over here. Oh, it's not gonna switch it, is it? Okay, hang on.
Yeah, you'll have to switch it yourself.
Because you can do window or you can do screen. And so this is Wave 11, which is out November 5th. So this is the Han Solo Adventures, Solo Command, and then the Force Unleashed.
I love the cover for Force Unleashed. And I love the cover for the Force Unleashed too. This art is absolutely amazing. What is this? Scoundrels?
So yes, Scoundrels is actually a book by Timothy Zahn. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically wanted to write, so because he wanted to write like a pre, like in the time space, the 19 years before A New Hope. He wanted to write a book about Han Solo and Chewie. So he wrote this book.
I dig it.
Takes place. So
I love the cover. Colors pop. You know, there's characters that I clearly don't know here that got me interested. It's like, okay, who are these people? Like, it has everything that you need to judge a book by its cover. And I even like the title, Scoundrels.
Yeah. No. And I read part of it. I think I was reading it right in the middle of college. So I was like, I had to stop in the middle of it. But it's a great book, from what I had read and what I remember. So
very nice.
I'm definitely going to be picking up Scoundrels, and I think I have Force Unleashed pre-ordered, so I'll definitely have Force Unleashed 2 pre-ordered as well. Have not read either of those books, and of course never played the game. But the covers are cool.
I highly recommend. Oh, I don't even know if you can now. So
watch the cutscenes.
Well, no. So last week, the Xbox store, the Xbox 360 store, should I say, shut down for good. So I don't know. Do you guys have a Xbox or a PlayStation?
I have a PS4. Matt has Xbox One.
An Xbox One. Okay. So I don't know if he's able to get it. And I don't know if it's been ported to the PlayStation 4. I know it was on the PlayStation 3. If there is ever a chance for you guys to pick it up, it might even be on the Switch. It is a lot of fun.
That's what I've heard.
The idea of you being the basically apprentice to Darth Vader, it has an amazing cutscene in the very beginning where Darth Vader like finds the main character, and just getting all into it. It's basically the mission to like kill the surviving Jedi. Is what it is.
It's like the Inquisitor.
Yeah, it's basically the Inquisitor idea before the Inquisitors were an idea. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. I own both of them on PC. Have not gotten a chance to sit down and play them. But I know it's like on a list of things to do within the next year, just because those games were so fun. So I highly recommend it.
Awesome. All right, so the last thing that we have to talk about is release dates. So Star Wars The High Republic Tempest Breaker, which is the audio drama by Captain Scott, that is out in December of this year, it has a script release date for May 13th, 2025. So it's a little bit later than some of the other script books have been. But at least it's out before the end, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like a little disappointing, but also like, it is what it is. And then the Women of the Galaxy book by Amy Ratcliffe. This book came out, I want to say like 2018. And it's basically just, it's kind of got all of the women of the galaxy and like kind of tells you a little bit about them with like little bios, but then it's got like different pictures from like the shows, and I think there's even like some original artwork involved. But this book is being transitioned to a paperback, and it's going to be updated and have an expanded edition in the paperback format. So it's going to include the women from The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, The Acolyte, as well as The High Republic, Jedi Fallen Order, and more. So this book is out April 29th, 2025. And for me, I'm always like, this is why I'm not like super big into reference books. Like I have like timelines and everything over there, obviously. But reference books, and especially in a universe that's always expanding, you've always got to go back and add more, or you've got to do new additions. And it's like, it's definitely a little frustrating to see when you're like, oh, I have this book now. But then like, oh, there's more. Like, which
I think
I love that we've gotten more characters. Don't get me wrong. I love that. But
would it be smarter to do this in a format that's like Women of Star Wars and do like each era of Star Wars? Like original trilogy.
I don't think you have
and...
enough content for that right now. That's the thing.
Okay.
Especially like in like some of the earlier time frame, like yes, I know Princess Leia is the hero of Star Wars according to George Lucas.
Yeah.
But there's also not a lot of female characters in the original trilogy.
That's also true. Yeah.
So I get it. And like from what I've looked at this book in bookstores. I just didn't have enough room for it at the time. And then honestly, I kind of forgot about it. And Amy Ratcliffe is incredible. Like I love work that she's done in like other reference books. Like she did like The Art of Galaxy's Edge. But it's just like, like it's just,
yeah,
I don't know how to feel about it. But this
I
is
will
why
say
I'm not
this,
big into reference books.
The cover itself, by Jen Bartel, would 100% make it worth it for me. I love her art. So seeing that that Rey cover from Jen is awesome. Love that. But yeah, I think it's very silly. It goes down to the conversation that we were having about the encyclopedia, right? The High Republic encyclopedia. It's like, oh, you know for a fact that Wave 3 is coming out, but you decided to put this one out right now, you know. So it's going to be an ongoing battle for a IP that is still continuously going. So it is what it is. And I will say, or more of a question more so than saying, I want to go back to Tempest Breaker. How big do you think this bad boy is going to be? Because if you remember, we had, so the two script books that we have for the High Republic is the Tempest Runner and the Battle of Jedha.
Yes.
So Tempest Runner was a thick book. I remember getting it at Target. I took a picture of it on my steering wheel. I still remember sending it to you. It was a big boy. Battle of Jedha wasn't that big. It was relatively, you know, comparatively, I don't think it was that much bigger than Tempest Runner.
I don't know. I'm looking at them on my shelf and they look about the same.
Do they really? My shelf, I only see the side of my shelf. It's facing the other wall.
so Battle of Jeddah fits in it, but
Wow, they are pretty close. I don't know. Like, I just remember picking up Tempest Runner in Target and thinking, holy crap, this thing is huge.
oh yeah.
So
No, they're big.
I'm so glad these do come out as audio dramas first. And not
like this is Dooku Jedi Lost comparatively.
Oh yeah. See, that is so much bigger than that one. So I'm gonna get it no matter what. It's really enjoyable. These audio dramas.
Yes.
And I will say, if you're not caught up with comics and everything else, we're gonna be talking about volume 1. This cover kind of like spoils what we're going to be seeing, you know.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it. I think Kevin Scott has done an amazing job in the High Republic so far.
Yes.
Surprisingly, not a huge fan of his DC stuff that he's written, but you know, really love High Republic stuff. So I know he's going to do a great job here.
But
What'd you say?
I said he found his spot.
Oh, he found his spot. Like, you kind of broke out, so I didn't.
Oh, sorry. I was.
Yeah.
So, before we move on to the comic, do you have any predictions for D23 about what we're going to get?
Yes. D23 predictions. I am going to go ahead and be the first to say it. Ahsoka season 2 confirmation with concept art. We're going to concept art. I don't think we're going to see any footage. Clearly, they haven't filmed anything yet. Now, one thing that I think they're going to do, and I don't know if you should do it at your presentation at D23, but
Baylan replacement.
I think they're going to announce the Baylan replacement at D23.
I'm thinking that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's got to be a point where you do make the announcement, and you don't necessarily want to like cause a bunch of fanfare, but you also don't want people to speculate, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Speculating a recasting after somebody's passed is just not good mojo jojo, in my opinion.
It just feels icky. We talked about it. We're like, there could be ways that you kind of just go without it. There's ways that you kind of swerve around it. It just feels weird. And I think that they should just get ahead of it and say, hey, this is happening. This is what we're doing. Boom. And they just make the announcement right then and there.
Yeah. I think that's the smartest move you can do. I think, especially with the fact that, going to my prediction, I think with the fact that you've got Manny coming in for a Q&A about the Stranger and what is in store for the Stranger, I think you've got an Acolyte season 2 announcement.
Yeah, 100%. I think that there was enough positive reaction to that last 2 episodes, and there was so much conversation that week over the finale, speculation of what's going to come. The novels generated conversation as well as far as the announcement during San Diego Comic-Con. I think this is the perfect time. Just say, hey, season 2 is happening. Here we go. Another prediction.
Andor season 2 footage?
I think we get a trailer for Andor season 2. But where I was going to go is I think we get yet another season of Vision season 3 announcement.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
Yeah. But here's what I'm going to ask.
Uh-huh.
Where in the world do we get season 3 from?
Well, they went global in the last season, so I feel like you could go back and go to multiple studios again, like all over the world. But I think with the fact that you have Star Wars Celebration in Japan, I think you need to highlight more Japanese studios.
I will
And that
go
way
as
you can
far.
capitalize with interviews.
I will
and
go as
panels.
far as, because of Celebration at Japan, I think we get a sequel to.
That's what I was also gonna say. You get some
Yeah.
sequels involved, especially with how happy they were at some of the performances, and how some of the episodes are still talked about to this day. I think sequels is a big thing you could tackle for Vision Season 3. I'm also thinking we finally get a public Skeleton Crew trailer.
I would hope so. we finally got an official announcement on the date, right? With Jude
People
Law's
magazine last week.
interview last week. We're with actual still photos. So I would hope that we finally get something shown to the public with the actual date attached to that trailer. I think is what's going to be shown.
And I'm still happy that's a Tuesday premiere. Like, that's big for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
real quick. Can you hear Amberlynn at all? Did you hear her crying? Okay. Because I just got a text saying, tell Katie I said sorry. She's so tired. She has been fighting going down to sleep for like the past month, and we don't know what to do. So we're just like, oh, okay, in your crib, bye.
It's me during the day with naps right now.
Oh man. So Skeleton
Crew, Ahsoka,
Visions,
Andor,
Ahsoka,
Visions,
Andor,
Acolyte. Here's a thought: the Path animated show.
Animated. Okay, so we know that Asajj Ventress's voice actress said that there is more to come. We immediately go to the idea of the Path because, of course, we know that it's kind of the only way that story can go, quote unquote, question mark.
Mm-hmm.
But animated is a very interesting. So we quote unquote know that a Star Wars animated series is in the works. It was funny when we first talked about it. I like it. I like the idea of another animated project. I think that with the surprise hit that Bad Batch was with season 3, I think you do go to what is next. And I think what is next is that era of the Path. And focusing on Asajj Ventress is going to be very interesting. Well, that's the thing. Do you think it's going to focus on Asajj? Or do we get another aspect of it? If this is something that is announced.
I think you've got to focus on Asajj. I think you've made enough announcements and putting her in. I think you got to do it.
All right. Okay, now we talked about things that are very realistic for D23. Katie, I need one most outrageous prediction, so that way when it does come true, we're like, holy shit, Katie got it.
Yeah.
Like, I need one of the most out there announcements for Lucasfilm at D23.
John Boyega back for the Rey movie.
Wow. You went there. So I'm looking something up real quick.
Okay.
To see if it's not already something that is going on. Because I feel like it was something that was pitched or probably in conversation with. I have 2 out there announcements. My first one, Indiana Jones series, Disney Plus. It's Lucasfilm, so I'm going to throw that out there. Again, way out there. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just throwing it out there just in case. And number 2, because again, probably never going to happen because there is so many statements and evidence that we don't cross the streams when it comes to the same era of content when it comes to Star Wars. I'm saying we're going to get a live action Cal Kestis something on Disney Plus. That's my most out there story or prediction. Because again, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Where are you thinking timeline wise? Like the 19-year period, or like addition to like Mando time frame?
I could see it being. I don't want it to be the latter, but I can see it being the latter just because it's the Mandalorian, you know?
Well, because we've heard that there's a third game, that they wanted to close out a trilogy.
A trilogy, yes.
Jedi Fallen Order games.
Yes.
So I don't think you would get 19-year time frame. Empire time frame.
I don't think the Empire time frame is necessarily like something that will 100% happen. Because let's see here. It was 19 years after, and then the second one was, I think, a year after that. So we're still in the time frame of right before Mandalorian. So I think you gotta, which sucks, but yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. I'm gonna go ahead and say that we get, you know what? It'll piggyback Cal Kestis, Ahsoka season 2.
Oh, I could dig it.
I think that works, right? Timeline wise?
Yeah.
I think.
I could dig it.
Yeah. I think it would be really cool for the announcement. Like you see like the Balin announcement, you see, you know, whatever concept
Cal Kestis helping Ezra.
Yeah, and we see a conversation about like, okay, you know, this is the links of what they're doing and going this far to do this or whatever. And well, now that Ahsoka is stuck, you know, in a different galaxy, who's gonna help Ezra? Oh, well, you know, bada bing, bada boom. Cal Kestis.
Makes sense.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of predictions.
Yes.
Let's talk about this comic, which, by the way, so I have read through issue 6, because the first 6 issues is what's available on Marvel Unlimited. However, I'm going to keep it strictly to issues 1 through 4, plus the Revelation story, which honestly I forgot about. So I didn't read that, but I did read it when it came out last year.
It was a very small, I think, like 4 pages. So
Yeah.
I could see how and why you would forget about it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Issue 10 came out today for the High Republic series. So we're covering this issue so we can cover volume 2 when it comes out, I believe next month, I think. So yeah, so spoilers for issues 1 through 4. If you are interested in reading reviews for current comic issues, highly recommend Minoc Manor's reviews. Ryan does a great job with his comic reviews. So he's already got his review out for issue number 10 today. So with that, Clay, lead us in the comic discussion.
Yes, so we start, and I forgot that I had actually attempted to follow these issues as they were actually releasing. So when I started reading this again, I was like, I've already read this. I already know this. Skip the first 2 issues, read issue 3. But we actually open up with I am forgetting her name.
Keeve.
Yes, Keeve. And she is remembering the events of what happened to Starlight Beacon. She's remembering how her master was basically being torn apart and pulled by the Nameless, remembering the fear, the chaos, all of these different things. And I believe they are landing on, do you remember what planet they were actually landing on? Balaam is the planet with the hut. And I believe this is the cousin or brother of
sibling.
Some sibling, yes.
Because they call the hut from Wave 1 High Republic their sister. So
yes, it is a callback to that later on in this volume, which I thought was a very nice connection. But this is amidst the chaos of course, the inoculation zones. There is a basically territory war happening on the Republic side for what will eventually become Nihil space, and like all of the chaos that we already know is happening is of course happening during these periods of this 4-issue volume 1. But we get to see that Keeve is goes down and is, I forgot what their actual mission was though. Do you remember?
Their goal is to push back and like reclaim planets that are being taken over by the Nihil or being attacked by the Nihil, and then the hut space. So the huts have kind of taken the chaos that's happening in the Republic and are like trying to expand their territory.
And one of the newer faces and or characters that we get to see in this 3rd wave are the children of the Nihil, right? Is that what they're called? Is
the Children of the Storm.
Children of the Storm, not the Nihil. The Children of the Storm. This kind of freaked me out when I first saw it. We hadn't seen a character like this in the novels at all. This felt the most comic booky out of everything that is happening in this book. Of course, it is Star Wars, whatever. They've made this a giant name for themselves as comics anyway, but this felt the most like kind of out there. This individual like has like tentacle arms, like it's some sort of mutation.
It looks like he's kind of like we know there's an evil scientist who is like manipulating the Nameless and everything. It looks like this guy was mutated with the Dringir. Like he has
That's exactly
arms.
What I was gonna say. Is it reminds me very much of the Dringir, and we get to see Saret and Tarek. Of course, they are still with Kyiv helping out planet side and in space, having a little firefight here. But eventually, we see that Kyiv uh, gets captured by the one and only Lorna D. Lorna D
Yes.
is here.
Also, just a clarification. So it is the Children of the Storm. And so the guy that we see with the Dringyr looking arm is a child of the storm. And they were experimented on by Baron Bulin, who's in later
Yes.
issues. And they were former Force sensitives that the Baron experimented on. They were Jedi hunters who captured Force users for Bulin to continue to perform experiments on.
And I believe Bulin is the same character that is one of the like general enforcers for.
Yeah, he's like the lead scientist. He was also, I think he was also in phase 2 of the High Republic as one of the children in the path.
Yes.
So
Mhm. Yeah. Also, the comic draws Lorna D so methodically, like she's scary
I
looking.
love it. I love it. Ario Inedito did the first issue, and then Jim Toe is the second, third, and fourth penciler for those issues. But yeah, she's crazy. I love it.
I think it's absolutely insane. Just the way that her character going like full circle and like being on her own and all of this other stuff. I just love the evolution of what Lorna D has become. But being able to see her in comics again, I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
But this second issue, I want to ask you, how did you feel about, like, I think this is kind of where we start to see, because later on, even in this volume, Lorna D does like make a comment on the fact that Kyiv, like, she's taking off the gloves. She's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
like, yes, like a little bit of a spoiler for our conversation later on, but Kyiv says, like, yeah, we may be like Jedi and we serve to like be peaceful and all of these other things, but there's a freaking war going on right now. Like,
Yeah.
the gloves are off. So how did you
Well,
feel? Oh, go ahead.
I mean, we know she leaves the Jedi Order at some point, so I believe
Mm-hmm.
she's really struggling with that aspect, especially in all the flashbacks that we get from every single one. So we get the flashback to like her being separated with Skier in issue 1, and then her Padawan trials, and then like the fire in, I think it's issue 3.
Mm-hmm.
But just all these different flashbacks, kind of telling her story. Kevin Scott is doing an incredible job with those aspects, just adding more characterization to Kyiv as we go along, and just seeing not the degeneration of her well, yeah, I think it is actually the degeneration of her spirit as a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
First the Jedi Knight that we get in High Republic 2021, and now this with her in this run as a Jedi Master. Like, it's just very artful, I think.
Yeah. So you spoke on a point that I did want to bring up, because of the later conversation that we're going to be having about Kyiv. Do we see her leave at the end of Wave 3?
Yeah, I think it's going to be in the next run of the Marvel High Republic that starts back up in February, because they're taking like a little bit of a break and then coming back. So I think at the end of that run, we are going to get her I'm done with the Jedi Order. Like, we thought we were going to get what's his name back? Not was it Reese Master? Yeah, the master that took over Wreath as a Padawan, Reese
Mhm.
Silas. how he leaves at the end of Midnight Horizon. We were like, oh, he's gonna come back,
Oh
but
yeah,
like
yeah,
we
yeah.
haven't seen him at all.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah, I think she's definitely gonna leave at the end.
You know, one thing in issue 2 also that we start to see, and I think it's very much a consequence still of the effects that were that or the events, not exactly the effects, but the events that took place in our first volume, like in 2021, 2022, with Starrett and Tarek. They're
Falling
so
apart.
they're falling apart. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Later on in this volume, they butt heads, and it has always been told to us that they basically share one mind. They see what they see, they think what they think, and they are polar opposites right now. And
Yeah,
we start to see the
and
beginning of that in issue 2.
yeah, and you see the different cybernetics that each one has now because they basically like fell apart when they were attacked by the Nameless in phase one's comic run.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that while I would have liked to see maybe a little more manipulation there to kind of like show the transition, like maybe do like an intermittent issue or something where like they're struggling to adjust to the cybernetics. Like I really want to know more about kind of how they interact with each other and how that transitioned with the healing process after Starlight Beacon and the addition of the cybernetics.
Yeah. It would have been nice to have a little bit more of that. Like, I'm not saying that it's not believable, because
Yeah.
clearly, like, we can connect the dots of like, hey, something's very traumatic have happened to both of them with a species that is supposed to be symbiotic in mind and everything else. So that does make sense. But I would have liked to see a little bit more, or even having them. I know that the High Republic has done this very cheeky thing of like saying, okay, these characters will stay in the comic, and these characters are going to be in the children's novels, and these characters are going to be in the adult novels. I wish there was a little more crossover, not so intense where you're like, oh gosh, I have to read this book to think about what
Yeah.
the character development of this character over here. Like, nothing so intense, but we know that especially at the beginning of this phase 3, that a lot of these Jedi are on the same mission, just different parts of the
Different areas.
galaxy,
Yeah.
and everything else. Their paths probably crossed once or twice, so I think that it would have been a little fun to have a little bit of that interaction, but we're here already, so we'll see where it goes. But at the end of issue 2, we get the big reveal, something that was accidentally spoiled via releasing of a connecting cover of these first
Yep.
4 issues. We get
Skee's
that,
alive. Or Skier's
yeah,
alive.
we get the mention from the children of the storm, or the child of the storm, that his face is now all scarred up and disgusting, and he has to wear a mask because of a savage Trandoshan in the oculation zone. And this stops Keeve right in her tracks. Like, wait a second. What did you just say? What's going on? This, unfortunately, like I said, Katie and I knew months ago.
Yeah.
Last year, we knew.
Yeah, honestly, I think we did because it was like end of 2023.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was somewhere like November, like October, November, we found out already. So, and that's just the way solicits work, unfortunately. And it was the artist that kind of screwed up on accident. They're like, well, I don't even think it was the artist. I think honestly what it was they did a special connecting cover for a specific comic store, and the comic store was the one
Yeah.
that announced it, and they screwed up, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So nothing on the artist of that cover, but we knew this was happening. I think it's a nice twist, especially the way this story progresses. With it intrigues you. Very first thing, okay, he's alive, but why is this person acting as though this, that Steve has like gone rogue? Like, why is he attacking? Like, is it a lie from this child of the storm, or are they being genuine with how like ferocious? Like, those are the thoughts that come to you with this whole
Well,
encounter.
yeah. Did you reread 2021 before?
I did not reread 2021. The
So I don't know if
last
you.
well, keep
I
going.
don't know if you remember, but Skier was basically suffering from a Trandoshan disease where he reverts to his inner predator,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. I remembered a little bit of that. Um but I will admit I didn't remember it until it was Heave that said it in the ruin that they find him in. Spoilers for literally the next issue that we're about to talk about. So I was like, oh my gosh, like what happened to him? What's going on? And then like all of this happens. I'm like, oh yeah, totally forgot about that. That makes sense. Um, but still,
So
go ahead.
no, go finish your thought because I was gonna jump.
Well, I was gonna say I still think that it's still very fun storytelling.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it definitely is.
the idea of anybody surviving Starlight Beacon is something to be like, oh, like we have more survivors, yay! And then the idea of like, oh, there could be more, So I think the possibilities are fun and a little bit endless. But how important Kiev has been to this story since the very first issue of the first phase. I think that they have had a very weird relationship. It's been a little bit of tough love also. Like I think this is fun to keep them together, at least for now.
Yeah. No, definitely. What did you think about showcasing how basically I would say issue 3 is probably a good sign of where Keeve is headed with the Jedi Order because she insists to the New Republic captain, or not New Republic, the Republic captain that they're working with in the Defense Force, that they need to take back the Ataraxia.
Mm-hmm.
But then they take back the Ataraxia and don't go back to Coruscant. Keeve, Sarah, and Tarek all get on the ship to go into the occlusion zone.
To go after Skier. And
Yep.
they say, they're like, hey, you said it yourself. You need a path drive, this ship's got it. We're gonna go. And she's like, oh, but what about the prisoner? What about Lorna D? And they're like, well, we're about to go into enemy space. It might be nice to have an enemy to go along with. We don't know what's going to be over there. So I like this, but you do see how I think Kiva's always been hard-headed. She's always had that mind of her own, but here there are so much more. There's so much more. Sorry, words are hard right now. Her attention is only on one thing. Hey, how do I get my master back? Right? And this is common in what we've already seen in this third phase of the High Republic. We've seen it with Avar and Elzar. We are going to be seeing it with the Blade himself, now knowing that his sister's alive. Like, it is a common theme. So this is not something that we should be like, why is she like going against orders? Like this is
That's
freaking
the whole theme
Bell.
of the High Republic right
Yeah,
now. Like,
Bell
is
Zettifar
to
did it
accept.
with Buryaga. Like you
Yeah,
can't accept that you've lost so much when those are the very little things that you still have, you know? And that's what the Jedi Order is struggling with right now. So I really dig this. I love the somewhat callback, or it is a full callback with a somewhat callback of the Tempest Runner from what we just talked about. Keeve does talk about her background. Oh, I know
yeah,
exactly who you are. I've read your file. I know that you were, you were thrown into, a prison for this or a slavery for this, all of these different things. But I also like the callback to Lorna D not being the big monster that everybody thinks she is. Because the big thing that Lorna does to like, oh, you know what? I'm going to get away. Well, I can't get away because of all this cargo. You know what? We'll just throw the cargo away. And we learn that there's individuals, people in the cargo. And you're like, oh my God, she just like left them out there to die. And even the Republic is like, oh, get them before their oxygen runs out. And
yeah,
they pick them up and they're like, oh, well, there's actually a generator in every single one of these. So they were never going to
yeah,
die. And that's just the smart thinking and the I was gonna say human side of Lorna D, but like the generous side of Lorna D. Like she can be a monster to survive, but we've seen because of the Tempest Runner that she was forced to become this person.
yeah,
She still has a heart. Like she understands morals, what's good, what is bad, but this is just who she is. And she knows, as well as mostly everybody in the Nihil, that it's killed or be killed, survive, all of these different things. And so that's what she's had to do. But she is still has a small sliver of herself still in there. And I really do like that.
yeah, most definitely. So the last issue of this volume is issue number 4, where we get a space. I loved the artwork in this. There's one panel, not the one that you have as the cover image or the cover of the issue itself, but there's one it's right after the flashback where she's been in space for the first time, and it's like now, and like it's just so good. Like it's so good. Um this is a really
It's
well
the
done
double
issue.
it's the double splash page. It has uh the scavenger droids. I forgot what they were
Yeah, where
called.
they're this I think they are scav droids.
Are they scav droids? The scav
Yeah,
droids destroying the ships. We learned about this in the Temptation of the Force, that on the other side of the Alkalization zone, again,
yeah,
words, they're hard, that the Nihil programmed these droids that whenever there was a ship that came through without like certain codes or whatever, that they would immediately attack those ships. So we see them there, and Keeve has her lightsaber out. It's a very gorgeous double splash page. I really do love it. But we see here again, this is where we see the different sides of Sarah and Tarek, where I believe it was Sarah.
yeah, when they're working with the droid, and then like one of them's gonna torture Lorna D, get the
Yeah,
codes out of
Sarah.
her.
He tries to do the Jedi mind trick. Oh, you will tell us the codes. Da 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 da. And she's resisting. You're
Mhm.
not gonna get anything out of me. To the point where he like starts to like choke her or like do something in a way that is actually hurting her. Keith tackles him, and he is like trying to say like, we have no other options. Like we got to do this. Like what is wrong with you guys? This is where we really start to see the divide between this team. Um, and I do like it because it makes you question, how far are they gonna go? Like, are they gonna cross a line eventually? Like, you could say this
Yeah.
crosses a line, but they didn't actually go through with killing Lorna D or whatever. There is no actual physical harm, like all of these other things. Is there going to be a moment in this phase where we see Sarah and Tarek actually fight? Like, and they are going to try to kill each other. Like, that's going to be something that, is it possible? Yes. Or is it possible? No. You know, we don't know at this point, but we do know that there is a divide, that there is a struggle, because we see it even more when they are on a planet in the oculation zone, and like we see like their mind is warped, they're being tempted by like this divide that they already have. Like, it's going to be a very interesting perspective to see which way they go.
Yeah. I don't want to speak too much more on them because I've read the other issues. I don't want to spoil anything because we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, I promise. But yeah, no. You bring up a lot of good points with them, for sure.
But we do get after that. I think it was Lorna D who mentions. Oh no! It was Saret that mentions that there was a signal of some kind of a Trandoshan attacking on a certain planet. They get to that planet, which is Kendo Sorn, is the planet name. It's a jungle planet. They meet a weird bird monkey that I believe it was Lorna gets
Lorna.
attacks Lorna, but I think it was Sarah that kind of takes it under his wings, like, oh, you know, he's just scared, you know, doesn't need to be attacked or whatnot. The next character that shows up, I completely forgot about.
Orbelin.
I was like, what the heck is this? Keeve hears a lightsaber and is like, oh crap, like I gotta go, like what is this? And she peeks around a bush and is attacked by this blob with a green lightsaber. And I was like, what what is this? And it wasn't until the flashback where they actually show Lorna shooting him in the face, I was like, oh, I remember this. Didn't know that's what you looked like on the inside, but okay.
I love Orbelin. He's so great.
I loved this character because of how ironically and unironically he has his head on his shoulders the entire like it's one giant blob, but like he's the only character that is making sense throughout the entire thing. He is so one with the Force and is like, okay, like the Nameless are coming. We know that they do this, this, and this. We have to stay calm. We have to trust the Force. Da, da, da. Well, everybody's freaking out. Everybody's like, ah! And he's just like, we're gonna be okay. We're scared. That's understandable, but let's just chill out. You know, do whatever.
No need to panic.
I also forgot that there was an actual Jedi by the name of Gunral, who is the same species as the character from Jedi Survivor.
Yep.
I love this new. Like, I don't know how new the species is to Star Wars, but the design is cool. Absolutely love them. But we see that what's his name? It was Orbelin was the one that saved him from the events that happened to Starlight. Lorna D was the one that shot Orbelin, of course. And then we find out that Gunral is so beat up. Like, we see him getting shot and everything from the Nihil, but like the way he looks now is not because of the Nihil, but it's because of Skier.
Skier.
Yeah. How did you like the conversation and the events that happened thereafter with Keeve and Lorna D within the ruin? How did you feel about the conversation that they had about, like, you know, Lorna D making the acknowledgement of like, hey, you're a little feisty now, like you
Yeah.
have a little bit of a dark side, all of this stuff, and plus the inevitable meeting of Skier again. How did you feel like all of that went down?
I felt like it went pretty good. Like I truly love Lorna D as a character. Like I fell in love with her in the first comic run, the 2021 run, and she's just such a survivor, and she's such a cynic at the same time. Like I love that she's just completely honest with what she needs. But then also calls out the flaws that she sees and the highlights that she sees in other people around her. So I think she was a great addition to this because I didn't know how they were going to handle her character when she takes off with the Ataraxia at the end of Tempest Runner, because we really didn't see her after that.
No.
So to get her back was really special, I think. Skier, I'm excited to see what happens with Skier. Like you can't just kill him off now, right? You can't just kill him off now.
I would hope not. Like, especially with showing how much of an anchor he is to Keeve right now. I also think you kind of have to have that heartbreaking moment with Keeve and Skier when Keeve finally does decide, like, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back. Like, I think you need him for that moment,
Yeah. To answer your question about Gunral's species, his species is a Latero, also known as a Lateran. The first appearance was in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So that was a species specifically created for that video game.
That's awesome. Cool. So it is a newer species. That's fun. But we reached the end of this volume with issue number 5. Yes. It being
this volume is only issues 1 through 4.
Is it really?
Yeah. We talked about it at the beginning how it was only 4 issues.
Then why do I have issue 5 in this volume?
I looked it up specifically.
Oh, that's weird.
Are you on Marvel Unlimited or you bought the volume digitally?
I have it digitally.
I don't know.
Because it has issue 5, and then at the very end of that, it has Revelations. Are you going to check yours just in case?
Yeah. This says 1 through 5. I looked it up on Amazon, and it said 1 through 4. Oh, crap. I didn't read this at all. I didn't read issue 5.
So you are not caught up until that moment, right? Or
no, I read through issue 6 last month. So let me just flip through it real fast.
Okay. So I will say issue 5 is the interaction with Skier, and then there is an event that happens outside of the ruins with the other characters, with Sarah and Tarek and the surviving 2 Jedi that are with them.
Yes. Okay.
And we are left with 2 little cliffhangers at the very end of here, introducing a new character as well as reintroducing an old character.
So yeah, the old character is from the Phase 2 run.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Tay Sarek.
Yes. I love him, by the way. He's so good.
Seeing him here again, there's this idea in Star Wars. I can't think of any alien species as having a quote unquote normal lifespan. It's I have to now think that every species can live well over 100 years old. That's just the way I have to think of Star Wars now. And does that ruin Star Wars? No, not at all. But seeing this character, I'm like, how the hell are you still alive? That's the first thought that I have. My second thought is, cool, he's still alive. Like, okay, that's interesting. This leaves more breadcrumbs to like, well, not necessarily breadcrumbs. It connects the dots a little bit more for phase 2 to phase 3 and like how they can tell that interconnective story.
Yeah.
But my first thought is, how the hell are you still alive? And
so
again, it's just this idea that these beings can just be really old, and I have to be okay with that.
The Sethi, which is Tayseric's species, are actually from Legends. And they were a long-lived species in Legends, with elder individuals living for more than 200 years, possibly up to 400.
Boom.
So that
There
is a reference there. No, so this issue, I didn't really read the content, but I flipped through and I remember most of it. I love the fights that we get here. I love the Sarah and Tarek have to kind of they're facing the Nameless, but at the same time they're getting like their face off with the Drin gear that they never really got from when one of them was captured by the Drin gear in the 2021 run. So I love that that comes back into play. So yeah, and then the reunion with Skier and getting him to get past his syndrome is just a real highlight moment, I think. Do I wish that there was kind of a little more perspective from Skier in some of these scenes? Yes. Because otherwise, I think that's why it feels a little quick to get like that recognition from him. It just feels a little quick from Q's perspective. But if you see kind of the flashbacks that he's getting, that could, I think, help with that a little bit.
Yeah. I enjoyed this issue. Again, I do enjoy the interaction with Lorna D, very sneakily grabbing Q's lightsaber, having her moment to kind of strike Skier and kind of make that confrontation even more hectic for a small bit. I do like that. And this interaction with the illusions of the Drin gear outside of the ruin, really messing with Sarah and Tarek. It goes again with this whole idea that they can feel and think the exact same things. And it was the other Jedi, again, forgot his name, blob dude. Katie, Orbelin?
Orbelin.
Yeah, Orbelin reminding Sarah, like, hey, you know, just think through these things. It's gonna be okay. And there being a reassurance afterward where Sarah's like, yes, I am one with the Force. The Force is with us. These are all illusions. They're not gonna hurt you. But then there actually was a Nameless out there. And unfortunately kills one of the other Jedi. And that's when we see Tay show up and actually defeat the Nameless at that moment. But we get this to be continued moment at the very end of this issue with this small individual. And I don't know if this is a child or
I do think it's a child.
Okay, because they say "Hello, little lady," and it's drawn very childish. But then I was like, wait, what if she's just like the panel is just really close up on her and like she's not really that tall? So yeah, there's this individual with purple eyes, purple suit, some sort of glove, like very interesting. I don't know who this is. I don't know if we've
So
seen anybody like this before.
I'm trying to see. Gosh. Where is it? It's not on his Wikipedia. Okay. So the purple. So we've seen this outfit before. It's in
The Blade.
Charles. I don't think it's in the Blade. I think it's in the Phase 2 main run as one of the like the Force user conference people. But then we also get someone in this outfit in the Charles Soule, I think it's Hidden Empire run.
Okay, so I believe you're right. As far as the Phase 2 main comic run, I think it was the old dude. Wasn't the main Jedi. What was his name? Remember he was having like PTSD of like the cults?
Tay Sarik's husband.
Yes. Tay's husband. He was having flashbacks of this group attacking him as a youngling.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back on Tay Sarik. Vildar Mac. Sorcerer of the Tund? I don't think that's right. Okay. We may have to do some Googling and come back to this next week.
You said it was part of the Jedi Council?
Yeah.
Council of Wills? No.
Let's go to Kira. It's got to be here somewhere. Come on.
Like, I just recognize so my first thought, I know you haven't played the video game, and it would be fun if this was like some sort of callback or connection in some sort of way. In Knights of the Old Republic 2, there is a individual that you meet that can become a part of your team who is blind but can see through the Force, and she wears an outfit like this.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she has a bandage over her eyes, and that's the only difference comparatively. But that's what. Okay, so I just saw a post here. Star Wars High Republic 1 spoilers over 12 verse appearances. We are seeing Sorcerers of Tund.
That was the Vildar Mac attack. Okay. I'm scrolling through the Hidden Empire comic right now. This is going to bug me.
Yakombe Envoy.
Okay, that sounds right.
Yacombe Envoy.
Spoke only through proxies. Yes. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, so, okay, I knew I recognized her somewhere.
See, I knew it was right too, because they make an appearance in Battle Jeddah. It is not in Hidden Empire. but it is High Republic, and then Dooku Jedi Lost.
So, looking at the Wikipedia, the Yakomboi were once a group once associated with the dark side of the Force, and whose members only spoke through proxies. Yeah. The Convocation of the Force and Advisory Council of Whole City Moon of Jeddah. Yeah. So this can be the potential connection with Tay, I guess.
Yeah.
Um.
Potentially. Because they don't end up joining the council.
Yeah. No. This is interesting. But why is it a child? You know?
Yeah, that's the question. I really thought that I had seen them in the Hidden Empire. But that doesn't say that there's a reference. All right, I'll have to scroll through and just see if I can see them, because I really thought they were there. First appearance was Dooku Jedi Lost. In flashbacks.
Okay.
And then they were first shown in the High Republic 2022. So
very awesome. But that leaves us with just the Revelation story. Again, it is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 issues, or 6 pages is all it is via the digital comic. It is within the occlusion zone.
Occlusion.
I don't know why I keep saying occlusion. But this is in the occlusion zone, and they are. Oh well, excuse me. This is Galamir, and it's near the Nihil occlusion zone. It's near it. They are talking about.
They're trying to see if they can find Avar. In the beginning.
In the beginning, we see that Keeve sees some Nihil. She hears a lightsaber. She goes towards it and ends up being in this kind of firefight. But she notices some random individual with a lightsaber. And this person's like, I don't know why there's so many people fighting me. I'm not a Jedi. And she's like, yeah, clearly you're not a Jedi. Ends up saving this individual. And the moral of the story is that there is always hope, because of the morals of these individuals who are still fighting to keep their planetary space outside of Nihil space. I think it's a very fun story. It's very small and short. It's not like something you need to read or anything, but it's just a little bit of, hope in so much chaos and despair that is phase 3 so far.
Yes. Yeah. It allows her to kind of spread the hope of the Jedi in that spot, because while she takes the lightsaber and says, I better hold on to this, she says, you don't need to have a lightsaber to give others hope. And because that's what he picked it up, was because he was like, we needed a Jedi. And so it's just a really cool little neat side story to kind of tell us, because this was a part of Revelations 2023, which was, hey, this is where all the main runs of Star Wars comics are going in the next year. Just kind of a little bit of a nice story.
Yeah.
Right there. All right. Well, Clay, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, this was a little bit of a longer episode than what we usually have, or at least what we've had in the last few months. But you guys can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter and any and all social media. You can, of course, find my other show here on the network, Ranger Alliance. There should be a new episode coming up next Monday. It has me, Jake, and Joe talking about the ending 2 issues of the 8-year run of Power Rangers. Very bittersweet talking about that. So go check that out when it finally releases. But also just making some random content here and there. Still loving the game of Marvel Snap. Just doing some random stuff with that. You'll see me posting random things on Twitter and Threads for that as well. So just support me in that. Not really having a whole bunch of time to stream video games at the moment, but hopefully that can happen in the future. But Katie, what about you?
Y'all, you can find me on most social media platforms. It is at Slice of Katie. This show you can find on Twitter. It is at Star Wars Alliance with the A in the war is very important. Don't forget it. Don't forget, you can also send us a text message or leave us a voicemail at 830-538-4828. Just give us a name to reference you by on the show, and remember to keep it appropriate. You can also email us. It's at starwarsalliance@gmail.com. There is no A in the wars still. So same username as our Twitter. But we love hearing from you guys. So yeah, with that, I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you are listening or watching. And we will see y'all next time. May the force be with you.